This story is not just the usual light-hearted and somewhat terrifying stuff of the usual overweight woman making excuses on camera, or the person spewing their strange beliefs for all to see. This one has child abuse, neglect, many other strange details in between, and this is truly a journey in some aspects. So take that as a warning. This is Amy Ramadan. You'll find a lot of comparisons to Amber Lynn Reid when it comes to this woman, but while I do understand that there are similarities with weight loss failures and diets and trauma used for clickbait and victim point, Amy's tale is much darker than Amber's. I want to stress that again. Amber might send harmful allegations here and there and mistreat her pets on occasion, which is bad, but Amy Ramadan is involved in child abuse, animal abuse, illegal adoption, and very dubious Mexican fertility drugs, if you can believe it, as well as neglect, swatting, and many more things. She's 38 and weighs 500 pounds, and her children are 4, 5, and 12. This could upset you. You might have heard of Amy from the video of her talking about 600 subscribers. Well, that video has since been deleted from her channel, but she does have almost 6,000 now. How many of those are hate watchers and archivers, I don't know. Maybe the original 600 are loyal viewers. Now it says her channel began posting a year ago, but the problem is that Amy wasn't being archived or noted until the 600 subscriber video, so we're gonna get into a lot of stuff that people remember but they can't find anymore. And if there was stuff that she deleted that we don't know about, well, obviously there's no context there. Now the infamous video in question is only the tip, so we might as well get into it before we put the whole thing in. Warning, there are sounds of children in extreme distress. On October 23rd, 2018, Amy uploaded a video called Let's Go to Portland. This was part vlog, part celebration, and this is the usual style of her content, where she puts something in the title that will only be referenced either at the end or in the middle of the video. This is not just for positive things either, as later on you'll see some videos concerning childhood trauma and miscarriage stories, and these are all hidden behind like 5 to 20 minutes of fluff, cringe, and nothing burgers. This video in question is a 30-minute vlog where she tries on shoes that look... All I'm going to say is that when you put on shoes, the laces shouldn't be so stretched that they sucked into the shoes themselves entirely, like a diver experiencing Delta P. There's talk about shirts, and she has to try one on, and she somehow gets out of breath during this activity. This is all despite the fact that in most of her videos, she wears the same thing with the same underlining of a hijab, not the actual hijab, that she doesn't wash. This goes on for about 20 minutes until we finally get to her saying goodbye, and then cutting back and thanking us for 600 subscribers.
So much, every one of you that have brought me to 600 subscribers. I am so ecstatic. I am so happy. You guys have no idea. When I seen that I am at 600 subscribers, I was like, something is going well. And it just made my heart skip a beat and me sing a song, because I am so happy to see my channel growing, because not only is it you guys that are making this happen, but this is also your guys' channel, and that's why I get so excited, because I know that you guys are getting to meet new people just like I am. So anyways, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for all of the support, encouragement. Excuse her. She is not the support I need right now. But anyways, I just wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all of the support that you guys give me. This is an amazing opportunity that you guys have also helped me reach. And that... You do not scream like that! You go out right now! No, ma'am!
It looks to be nighttime if I had to have a guess, so her kids are probably ready for bed, or at least ready for dinner. You can start to hear the noises and shuffling of the kids since it must be nighttime, and since it must be nighttime I assume her husband should have been home, which makes me wonder why he doesn't just help the kids himself. Instead, it gets to the point that the child is crying and knocking on the door, no doubt seeking some sort of affection and comfort from the parent whose job it is to provide that. Amy ignores it and goes into detail about singing a song because of how happy she is about her following. Everything from this language to the bow on her head that looks out of place on the hijab underlining, tone of her voice, everything comes across as this sort of exaggerated sweetness or innocence, that aesthetic that the wholesome vloggers on the site use that she's emulating. It's her trying to invite you to have the assumption that when you meet her that she has a certain sweet and somewhat innocent disposition. Everything that we've seen in the vlogs at this point, the crafts, the colors, the tone of voice, all of this screams royalty-free ukulele, sparkle iMovie effects, fairy lights, and wholesomeness. Trust me, it says. I emphasize this because when the screaming child annoys Amy too much, we get the switch. This is something that everyone who has talked about her before has mentioned, but it bears mentioning again because of the sheer mechanical nature of it. It pretty much proves that everything about the aesthetic we saw before was a lie, and the real Amy comes out in a second. She is aware enough about how the real her looks to hide that, but seemingly not aware enough to see how it makes her look when it comes out, because she leaves it in and doesn't edit it out. We hear the door opening, and then the child softens her cries for a minute. In a normal instance, we could say this is because she knows her mom is there, but in this instance we could say it's because she's trying to figure out which mother she's getting, the normal one or the switch. Then there's a distinct smack. I can't tell if it's her hand or something else because she does have wooden spoons, so I'm kind of worried about that, but I'm not that good at identifying that sound. And it's clearly followed by a moment of shock and the child crying even more. And then the door is harshly slammed closed behind her. Now this is the ridiculous part, if you can believe it. She edits here. She actually edits this out. She does have weird fade edits that look really unsettling, but the point is there's signs of her editing. There's signs of her editing in vlogs before and in this vlog beforehand. You could have made the case that she was just too lazy to watch the end of the video and left in the part about her smacking her kid by accident because she forgot, but she does leave an edit here, so she chose to leave this in. She was aware of it. And she starts her entire speech again, out of breath because of her parenting. She then promises sweet dreams to everyone but her kids, and decides that this is a good place to end the vlog. Some people have said that perhaps she left this clip in on purpose, because in all of her other videos you can hear kids screaming and crying, so she decides to show evidence that she disciplines them. And for some reason she does not realize how bad this would look. I guess if she realized how bad it would look, she might have second thoughts about actually doing it, but whatever. Even if you think this is fine because this is the treatment you got and you turned out alright because you were hit with a wooden spoon, this goes further than that. This family lives in filth. They eat junk food, and she closes the food away so her kids can only eat some of it. One of her kids, who isn't even legally adopted, can't eat at the table with the family and has to eat afterwards when they're done. She says it's because he's fussy, but you can easily just make something for him while you're making dinner for all of the other members of your family, and he can still have it at the same time as you. This, with everything else, looks bad. She also says that Christmas and Thanksgiving are bad times for her because of childhood trauma, but she mentions getting gifts for Christmas anyway, which is totally fine with her. And we haven't even talked about the skunk yet.
My kids still see the Christmas lights hanging on houses, and we even go to the Christmas lighting and watch the lights at the houses. My children, they've watched Christmas movies. It's just that I don't object, or I don't subject, or I don't put and promote Santa Claus, stockings, and those things. I just don't do it in my home. It doesn't mean my children don't see it and get to still experience it. They just don't bring it into the house.
There's another clip, however, from before, of her in her car, which is just as messy as the house, complete with toilet for her kids to use, and she discusses the content of some of her health vlogs, about some failed diets or something, I presume. It's kind of easy to tune her out. She talks about caffeine. She's pretty concerned about how she looks in the camera while she talks about the caffeine, while her kid cries in the back, specifically about her stomach. So her sick kid crying in the back. Amy starts off a little composed and brushes the kid off. If she was a normal person, she could have easily turned the camera off and asked what's wrong with the kid and then talk to the kid to see what she can do to help, and then turn the camera back on much later when she has time to. But instead she decides to keep filming until she snaps and we have the switch again. She takes out the wooden spoon and says that she keeps it in her car for times like this. She insists that she never uses it, but you know by now she has some issues with the truth. Besides that, the kid falls silent immediately as well. Kids aren't that dumb. They catch on once someone is making a threat, and if the threat doesn't go anywhere, they know. This kid would know if Amy never used the spoon. She wouldn't react this way. There's a story here because of how the kid reacted. Amy even made a tweet once where she said that she keeps it in the car to break open the windows because she's paranoid, and she only said this once people talked about it, and that's so fucking dumb. Let me break a car window with a wooden spoon, coming from someone who gets out of breath putting on a shirt. This woman is 38. This all comes with a post on Facebook where she says been through some terrible things in the past, and she thinks that people who talk about child abuse but don't do anything about it are just as bad. She also implies her entire family had abused her in the past, with some lifelong memories to scar certain days of the year, if you recall. But apparently, those only rear up when it's convenient. She's no stranger to handpicking comments either. She has made posts in the past about how her comments are a place for positivity, and no one should have hurt feelings in the comments. This includes her. She makes a big statement about how YouTube blocked all of her comments, and the only way to keep her comment section open, according to them, is to handpick all of them. This is something she still does. She is chanteling it, if you will. But the big one is on February 12th, 2020, a while after the original Portland video was discovered. This video is now called Weigh In, but it was originally called Abuse and Weigh In. Abuse just nonchalantly thrown in the title. She feels like she shouldn't have to speak about this, and my kids, my way to raise them is a huge argument here. You'll hear this a bunch of times. As if it should be no one else's problem that someone is abusing their kids. If someone sees a YouTuber, or anyone, abusing an animal, they want to find them. When someone or something vulnerable is abused, people want to find the abuser. That's just the way it is. Especially if it's a mother abusing her child, what do you think is going to happen? She claims there is no video evidence showing the child being physically abused. Showing a key word here because we heard it, but we didn't see it. And she knows this. She says the allegations are so ridiculous that they're funny. She again says, I don't hit them, but if I want to, that's my problem. It's my kids. Despite how fucking stupid that argument is. And she keeps using the phrase, I'm not walking in fear. I don't know where that's from. I'm assuming it's a religious thing.
I have been in a headspace where I feel like I have to continuously justify myself and to prove myself that I'm not this person that people are putting me out to be. Because you guys, as my true subs, you guys understand that and you know who I am. And yesterday I found myself binging. And I haven't binged in months. And I think that it's because of stress. And it's all around things that I am allowing to get to me. And that's not okay. So as I do see negative comments coming through, you're going to start getting blocked. Because you know what? It's not okay. You know, I don't... To me, numbers don't mean anything if you're abusing people. You know, let the whole thing go out the door. No, I binged. I did what I did. Self-esteem, and they need something to pick them up. That's all right. They want to be in the, you know, the cloud with everybody else, in the circle or whatever, you know, go for it. But I'm not going to address it.
She's not walking in fear of CPS being called. She has some bullshit story of them being aware of her and her case file and knowing that she's a good mother. You can go ahead and report her, but they'll be on her side. That totally happened. That reminds me of that story that Amber Lynn told of the RSPCA coming over and checking up on her dog and realizing that she's such a good pet owner or something. I don't know. I guess she's not walking in fear, but her kids sure are. She talks about all the support she gets and says that the true gimps, I mean the true subscribers, will understand her and not the haters. Numbers don't mean anything when you're abusing people. My channel is growing. I don't really... The dumbest thing is when she says that this is all a conspiracy to make her lose her weight loss journey. This entire thing isn't about her kids being abused or concern that people might have about stuff she does. It's a giant conspiracy to take her off her weight loss journey and gain weight. That's what it's really about, because people want her to go off track and not lose weight. Right. She has binged a few times since, and this is everyone else's fault. There are also various times she said the phrase, let's go Kiwi Farms and stuff like that, and ranted about them in her cast, very, very similar to Chantal. But she doesn't really do anything worth talking about in this video, besides the one time that she said that the entire site was the dark web and shouldn't exist.
Shit.
So when she's not making MS Paint augmentations of pictures of herself to add hijabs, what's she up to? Well, she's making amazing must-watch content like how to fall in love at KFC, stuck in an MRI machine, and how a morbidly obese takes a shower. Morbidly obese what, you might ask? Well, fill in the blanks yourself. The MRI one is bullshit too. It's clickbait shit where she doesn't get to the story like until later in the video and it doesn't even fucking matter. Also, as far as I've heard, people in Egypt wear normal clothing with the hijab on top. This bitch is a fundy. Amy's husband is named Mohammed, and when she had her first child, who isn't documented, and we'll get to that, she had him 3 years prior to meeting Mohammed. She was with her previous husband, who doesn't matter. She met Mohammed on Yahoo Chat, which I didn't even know was a thing, but I guess she was looking at her Weggy board and how Baby is formed when she met this guy. She went to Egypt, leaving this adopted child to just hang out, and goes to marry this dude 3 days later. This was around Christmas too, so her kid is just at home without their mom for Christmas because she wants to get some dick under the Sphinx.
This time of the year is really hard for me anyways. I know that I struggle a lot during this time for multiple reasons. I remember I was at my cousin's house because I was staying with her at the time, and this is right after I got home from Egypt, within like 2 weeks, because I got home, I think it was like the 10th or something. Yeah, I think the 10th of December. And I remember the 24th, because it was Christmas Eve, and again, you know, Christmas holidays, they suck. You know, I came home from Egypt, and I had no money because I had spent all my money on my trip, that I didn't get to really buy my son any gifts, and I felt so guilty. I felt so bad because I was such a bad mom.
But Mohammed works as a furniture salesman and does interpreting for law enforcement as a side hustle, as Amy says, but he used to have a used car sales business, which he says doesn't work anymore because people just don't buy cars. I had a look at them and just... Remember that scene from the beginning of Matilda where Danny DeVito was in the shop selling his really bad cars and like teaching Matilda how to scam people? There's also this incredibly awkward moment where she says that he spends a lot of money because he doesn't really look at the amounts and just gets carried away, and then she makes fun of him for it, but it's also a really tense part of the video because it's like she's hiding how much she spends and he just doesn't want to talk back to her. She does hauls and doesn't wear the shit that she buys, so I mean... She also went to some beautician school for nails, and she says it's more of a hobby, so despite the fact that she should be qualified, she doesn't open a business or get a job in the business. But she does have a business herself, selling mugs that cost way too much. Oh, but don't add an S to the name when you look for her store because she accidentally made another store and forgot the password, so that one has the S. She won't be able to do the orders on that one. Just, they did have money trouble because we can see a Facebook post here about her saying that she's going to be moving to South Dakota if they can get their money together because it's too expensive where they are right now and their landlord is going to evict them. So she has her PayPal link for donations. This was on July 11th of 2019, and there was a video uploaded apparently on the dead of night in July as well, but this was deleted quickly. I can only find evidence of it listed in the forum. On July 13th, there is another Facebook update where she says that she talked to the landlord and everything is fine, and it was as if they could just talk to the landlord the entire time. People got mad because of this, and it did look like a scam. Whatever the ending amount of money was, it was still a lot for her to pay her rent and do extra things. This is where a person named Pam Talks comes in. She made reaction content on Amber and Chantal in the past, and she used to be friends with Amy. She donated $10 to Amy, and when Amy pulled that shit with the landlord, Pam wanted a refund. This ended up having a lot of drama behind it, and it culminates in Pam being swatted. Now, people can't prove that it was Amy or a fan of Amy necessarily, so I can't say this myself, and let's be real, Amy looks a little too lazy to do something like that. So I just stated that like this. It's up to you. But apparently Amy wanted to sue Pam. I don't know how that's gonna go.
I have not spoke about you. You know, I could have so easily continued on the road that I was taking legal action on because I had sought legal counsel and I was told that I do have a case and I could pursue pressing charges against you and a few others that I have information on for multiple charges. But I chose not to, because why? I don't feel that going that far and going that direction.
So this is random before we move on, but one of the things that people posted about that I had to bring up because it's just, the random thing that people found of a trans woman live streaming, Amy seems very fond of, and I don't know what's going on here. I don't This is just the point when I went to the threads too, like after I watched all the videos, and just I figured this would be funny if I mentioned it before we go back to like her meth addict tier life, but wow. Amy, what is wrong with you? Is this haram? So Amy and her mom don't get along, and she details this in multiple videos. Basically, on a live stream, she starts saying that her mom is dead. Now, many people took this as her saying that her mom is actually dead in a literal sense, but she was actually saying that her mom was dead to her. This live stream itself was also a disaster because a lot of the Amber Lynn reactors and people like that decided to watch her to see if there were any things to talk about, and it clearly bothered her. So she says that her mom is dead at some point because her mom's in the chat. So she explains that her mother is dead to her because she and her mother said this to each other. They have a very bad relationship, and this does go further as Amy describes herself. She and her mom always argue about who said who was dead first. So Amy makes a video reading her mom's private DMs to everyone on the internet. This is called Feeling Some Kind of Way ... and the follow-up is Hurt Much ... and they're masterpieces. There's also a video of her claiming that she was scammed by the vet because of the $30 bill for clipping her skunk's nail, and she wants to find a cheaper vet because skunk food is too expensive. She also got scammed by this MLM for like 100 something. The MLM thing isn't important either, but I needed to mention it because it just kind of struck me. Why do these people always fall for MLMs? All of them do. Why? In terms of her content, she has dumb challenges, haul videos, 77 consecutive uploads of nothing, craft videos, diets that don't work, workout videos where she sits down and waves her arms, and videos of what she ate today that have miscounted calories. So pure hell for me. But I guess that's what I talk about now. And there are some masterpieces that I have saved for now. But I figured we'd get into some of the more serious ones. Let's go. So I mentioned the childhood trauma stuff, and there's another one called Pregnancy, What It Takes, from the 21st of April 2019, of her talking about some interesting experiences she had getting Mexican fertility drugs of dubious legality. And the reason she got these is because she had been having issues with having a baby, and even though she had wanted to be a foster mom, she always did want to have a child of her own. So she tries this, and lo and behold, she is pregnant, and she believes that this is a miracle that she was finally given from God. However, in a very emotional December vlog, she details that unfortunately she lost it prematurely, and this means just before Christmas is a terrible time for her that is still incredibly raw, and she cries about this in the video while she recounts it for us. Now, I'm not about to mock someone or make light of comments or make light of the hardship of miscarriage or birth complications, but I do want to point out that this video, despite the seriousness of the title that is arguably clickbait, she talks about this isn't how the video opens. She first talks about Etsy and arts and crafts for like 10 minutes, completely unbothered, and just rambles on, like not even acknowledging the title, before she talks about the baby and all of her issues. So it's just sketchy. Because as much as I want to take it seriously, she doesn't seem to want to take it seriously. I understand that when you're talking about stuff, thoughts can just lead you anywhere, so random things can just happen in conversations, but she could have perhaps acknowledged this and uploaded it as a separate vlog from the Etsy one and just explained what happened and why she had to split them up, because you could at least respect what she's trying to do there. But she just does this. But also in this video, she talks about how she feels bad after she left her adopted kid on Christmas so she could go gallivanting with her Egyptian husband, but I guess that's not that important to her because she moves on pretty quickly. But what's odd is after these sympathy videos, she also has a video called Is My Therapy Working?, where she says that everything is fine. These days aren't traumatic for her anymore all of a sudden because her therapy just randomly started working one day. Well, so much for that arc of the anime. Now, depending on the video, she either has very popular royalty-free shitty trap music, not royalty-free shitty trap music that I had to replace with something else, or she has sad music, very manipulative music either way. Just, her adoption story has sad music as well. It's very sentimental shit, and I just wanted to warn you, you might want to put some Minecraft music in the background or something because your ears might hate you after this. At the time of this video, her child is 10 and turning 11 in April, with a comment about how he's getting too old for mama.
Oh, he's getting too old for mama. But he's a little sweetheart. So the story that goes behind my little boy is that as a little girl, I always wanted to adopt a baby. I always wanted to give a baby love.
This could be a benign statement in any other way, but for Amy, it's more true than you think. She doesn't want kids, she wants babies. She wants cute babies in a specific time period for their age to make her look like she's a mom so she can feel good about it, but once they grow out of the aesthetic that she likes, she doesn't want the responsibility anymore. She's like those girls who get puppies for Christmas, and when the puppy isn't small and cute anymore to them so they can't take Instagram pictures of them anymore in the same way, they leave it at the shelter and just go get a new one. Not acknowledging the life that they need to take care of and take responsibility for, it's just like a toy to them. No responsibility or respect, it's just the idea of it like a badge to feel good. Or it's something that they can control because it's vulnerable. It's like those mean girls in high school who grow up to want to be nurses because they know that they can manipulate the older folks or whoever and no one's gonna listen to those guys so they can just abuse them as much as they want. That's what Amy is. If she wasn't too lazy, she would probably be a nurse. That's the reason why the diets never work. These people like the idea of weight loss and feel good. They feel good buying and showing off the goods and being a part of the group or involved in the challenge in the very barest sense of the word. When they all actually have to do the work, they fail. It's like, you know those people who start hobbies and they always have like a new hobby and they're like, I'm gonna do this, and then after a while they just give up, and then you try to encourage them to keep going, but then they just pick up a new thing and think that it's gonna work overnight, and the fact that it doesn't work overnight means it's not fun anymore. Anyway, the story for her adoption is this. Due to her growing up in the foster care system allegedly, where some people in her family were basically strangers to her, she wanted to adopt. When she got older, she wanted to adopt. But the price of it was way too much for 25-year-old Amy.
So when I was 25, yeah. I had talked to a couple of my family members. They are from the islands, but they live here in the United States, and I had shared my dream of wanting to raise a baby. And you know, I don't feel like you always have to have that perfect family, the mom, the dad, and the children to make a complete family. I think family is about love, support.
She claims that the price is not only expensive, but she didn't want to feel like she's buying a baby in the same way that you would buy a toy or a pet. Even though the cost would be because of the paperwork and legal shit that's needed for the kid, but, you know, she doesn't care. I mean, I would say that you'd want to pay this because you'd want to make sure that your kid has everything they need and they don't run into paperwork issues or whatever when they're older, and they're all fully documented, they have all of their hospital bills and shit taken care of. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that people would automatically afford. Obviously, people have struggles. This is expensive, but what I'm saying is you'd at least understand why it's expensive because you're dealing with another life. So that's why if people are able to do so and they have the resources, they will fight for their kids to be documented and legal because of the life that comes with it. But not Amy. Despite being able to do it if she really wanted to, she decides that she's going to put out some feelers to her family on the islands to see if they could get her baby in a cheaper, less legal way, preferably without paying money at all. Her sister miraculously says that a friend is pregnant and can't take care of the baby and give it the love it deserves because she already has kids, so that's impossible, and wants Amy to take the baby. This is an excuse for Amy to start humble bragging about how much of a perfect mother she would be. The sister also says that the friend is due in 3 weeks, and Amy is so ready for it. This is her answer to a lot of things. Get a baby. It'll make everything feel better. Get a baby. Like people who go shopping, it'll make you feel better. But in the end, she gets her child and doesn't document them. I don't envy them for what they have to do when they try to put their life together when they're older. So then we get to the skunk. She introduced him in a vlog called I'm So Happy I Could Cry on the 24th of January 2019, where she says his name is Sebastian and he came in from Iowa. He looks like he's enjoying himself. Totally. More than her husband is. She feeds the skunk hot dogs, chicken nuggets, and other fast food, processed food that isn't good for a fucking skunk, because he just doesn't want to eat anything else, according to her. But it's too expensive to get skunk feed. This is the same shit she feeds her kids, so I mean, I guess it can tell you how much she cares about her kids on the same level as a fucking... skunks just... This is like Twinkie all over again. Skunks can't live in this fucking dump. They need a clean space, a cleaner home with open floors. And I guess Amy just doesn't care. I mean, she said that she needed support from the internet, but the crying child in the background wasn't the support that she needed. So I guess the skunk is just there too. All in all, there's only so much that I can say about Amy. What else could I possibly say to make this clearer that she doesn't say herself? People like Amber and Chantel leave tons and tons of individual bits of drama to talk about, but when you look at Amy, you really just want to run away and pretend it isn't happening. I was trying to find a way that I could end this that gives you a sense of understanding to tie it all together, but nothing that I could write could really process any of the shit that we just went through. So instead, I am going to read this post by a forum user by the name of Dog Prom. So let's have a read. Oh boy, this is rough. What the fuck is wrong with these fat bitches? I'm not a big fan of cultural shaming, but maybe I need to rethink, because now we have a generation of super morbidly obese losers posting their farts and filthy homes and gross habits online without realizing how gross they are. Amy upped the ante by posting non-stop child screaming in her videos. The liquid ass shit show openly starving them while keeping her snacks locked, providing little clothing, and evidently she's also posted outright child abuse in the form of striking an already screaming toddler and slamming the door in her face. What is next? I hate to even speculate, because as soon as you think you've hit the bottom of the depravity, they get their shovel and start digging. Look, you're lucky if your parent didn't lose it at least a couple times when you were a kid or a mouthy teenager. People are flawed, and even good parents can have really bad moments, and most of the time when they calm down, they're appalled and apologize to the child, and the kid grows up knowing that it's loved and valued, that any deviation from kind and concerned parenting was an aberration. But there is so deep a chasm between a harried mom in some form of active stress, cram-packed supermarket at the holidays while fighting a cold and worried that she won't make it in time to pick up the other kid, swatting a kid on the butt to get the kid's attention so they'll stop whatever horribly annoying thing they're doing, and a fat fuck leisurely making a saccharine video in her own home, hearing her distressed daughter bellow for attention, getting up, calmly averting the camera, striking that screaming child, shutting the door, and resuming her fake sweet video. I can't wait to see if all the fat asses, Muslim larpers, and bikini troons try to justify this as one of those times a parent acts without thinking and regrets it. Wait for Fat Amy to tell us that we didn't know that the tiny child did to deserve a blow from a 500-pound monster, or how long Fat Amy cuddled her after. Her persona as this fat but adorable crafts mom is chilling. She's fucking scary, and I suspect the best thing that could happen to those kids is for her to eat herself into total immobility so that she can be contained in a